Hey everybody. Well, thanks for sharing the inspiring work that you do. I can't help but think about this quote by Rumi where he says, "Yesterday I was clever, so I wanted to change the world. Today I am wise, so I'm changing myself." And while this quote usually emphasizes this notion of like we need to embody the change we want to see in the world, I believe that social change is not a solo job, which is what we'll be talking about today. But first, let me introduce myself. There I am. My name is Dana. I work for a consultancy called ATÖLYE, and I mainly work with the community team. And I consider myself a community architect, a community curator, and facilitator. And if you don't understand what any of those words mean, that's totally okay. I've been working at this for 2 years, and my parents still don't know what I do. Just to go back to ATÖLYE, and I think having this background is important. ATÖLYE is a strategic design and innovation consultancy with hubs both in Istanbul and Dubai. And we have four main practices, one being architecture, the second sustainability, third is learning and education, and the fourth being community design. And what makes ATÖLYE really special is that we call ourselves a community-powered organization. So, and that's been part of our DNA since we first started 10 years ago in Istanbul. So we're community-powered because at ATÖLYE we firmly believe that tackling complex problems cannot be solved through a single voice or a single discipline. So instead, we bring a diverse community and our transdisciplinary team to collaborate together. So in addition to our full-time team, we actually we nurture a community of creative leaders, innovators, design practitioners, futurists, strategists, architects, facilitators, all who are driven by impact, or who are passionate by impact. Now, I realize I probably said the word community a lot more than you're used to. So, and it's my job, so sorry, but we're going to hear it a lot more today. I thought maybe we could uncover what I mean by the word community together. So, the concept of community is as old as humanity. Since the first moment humans started to communicate with one another, we built relationships, told each other stories, and made sense of the world together. With that, we've developed this need for togetherness, which is the seed of community, and that seed is embedded in all of us. Now, the function of community probably has evolved over time. So community used to be a very place-based notion. You were traditionally born into it, but with technology and globalization, your location no longer is the key definer of your community. So instead, today we choose our communities based on who and what we identify with, and there could be more than one. And we've also gone from seeking protection and survival to seeking growth with others around shared passions or interests. But here's the thing, I think we hear the word community used a lot in so many different contexts that we diluted the definition. So I think community is much more than gathering people together under one place or platform over a shared purpose. Instead, I think what completes the constellation of community is one, the feeling of belonging, two, the act of reciprocity, and three, caring about and supporting one another. So as part of my work at ATÖLYE, along with my wonderful teammates, is that I help create an environment for people to find their peers, to feel less alone, to feel supported, and to realize that there are others who think the way they do and want to act accordingly. So we framed the what, now let's talk about the so what, or the impacts of community. So let me, I usually shy away from this question because I feel like the system that we operate in these days, or right now, celebrates numbers and dollar signs, and I feel like quantifying something that is so relational does not do the impact justice. But every year at ATÖLYE, we assess our impact in various areas. And here's a direct statement from the ATÖLYE Impact micro website about our community's impact. So in the past year, our members have collaborated, let me go back. Have collaborated with us on multidisciplinary projects with diverse scopes. Now let me give you more context with numbers. In the past year, I've reviewed over like 300 applications for people wanting to join the community. And I've had over 100 one-on-one discussions with these individuals, many of whom we've invited to the community based on their values, but also their areas of practice. But being able to connect with such great individuals, but also facilitating opportunities for them to work on projects that they actually care about, is certainly something worth celebrating. Now let's continue reading. Our community and people in our wider network came together at our public events that set the scene for inspiring conversations. We've hosted about 50 public events, and curating content or even co-creating content with community members in order to inspire conversation and knowledge exchange is something worth celebrating too. But after reflecting on all these numbers, I realized there's a critical subtitle that's missing here. And that is, what keeps our community together is the relationships among members, myself included. And the only way we can create impact is through the strength of these bonds between our members, not with the actual number of members. Without relationships, there's no trust, and that means no collaboration. I get the privilege to see these bonds grow. Oh no. John, no. I get to see the privilege to see these bonds grow through what one of my dear colleagues calls intangible moments every single day. Some examples of these moments is when a community member openly shares their experience and resources to encourage another member to evaluate an important decision, members taking time to give feedback on a sticky situation that someone stepped on, or even members showing up today to watch a very nervous public speaker, but community member speak. I could go on, but the point is, these are the moments that make my work worthwhile. And I firmly believe that it's the accumulation of these intangible moments that make the community stronger. And these strong bonds are what catalyzes our community to mobilize collectively and effectively, especially in the name of impact. So I'd like to share with you an example of this, and I'm sharing this publicly for the first time. But it's been over 2 months since the 7.8 magnitude earthquake shook and devastated Turkey and Syria. Since then, ATÖLYE, in addition to our community members and our community partners, namely 𝗡𝗃𝗶𝗴𝘁𝗶𝗄𝗏, they brought together over 200 people and over 100 organizations at ATÖLYE in Istanbul, and have led the way for more than 20 new projects to take life focused on mid to long-term earthquake relief and preparedness efforts in areas such as fundamental needs, spaces, governance, and sustainability. While the urgency of the disaster might have expedited the motion to action, it is a collaborative, genuine, caring, and multidisciplinary approach that is what led to these tangible outcomes. Outcomes that didn't need leaders and followers, but instead they trusted the facilitators and conveners who leveraged their relational capacities to help seed the possibility of a different reality, and 3, iterated and collaborated upon with the collective. Now, if a relatively small group is capable of making such impact, let us imagine what could happen if a community-powered approach was multiplied across organizations, institutions, or even cities. So yeah, there's a fair share of wicked problems that we need to address. And what I have learned from my experience, and what I'd like to share with you today, is that the key to solving the complex systemic long-term problems across sectors and the levels is that we need to address them together. And for that, we need future leaders to start harnessing the relational potential in order to enable social change. Now, I'm totally aware that the social technology that comes with building community is not something novel or groundbreaking, but the reality is we live in a world that encourages individual achievement and that is continuously designing for isolation. So we need to start correcting that. So what now? I can tell you right now, I didn't go to community school. I went to engineering and business school. So there's no program I could recommend, and I'm not sure you need it. But if COVID highlighted anything, is that community and togetherness is in our nature. We just need to be more intentional about community now and start practicing it again. I love this metaphor shared by a community practitioner that I personally admire. Community is like a muscle that grows when you practice together. He explains that if we practice regularly, the muscle will become stronger. And if we don't practice, it will start to fade. And in the context of community, the muscle metaphor becomes collective. Through repeat practice, I can only strengthen my own, I can not only strengthen my own habit, but the collective behavior too. So being at the Museum of the Future and at APF's 20th anniversary gathering, I want to connect my world to your world. How might a community, and I'm going to leave you with a few questions. How might a community-powered approach evolve the field of futures and foresight? What possibilities or new realities could be imagined when you embrace pluralistic views and beliefs? And how might we ensure that the futures we realize prioritize togetherness and belonging as essential parts of our social fabric? Thank you for your time. And if you ever want to chat about community, let's keep in touch. And feel free to scan the QR code. I've put in all the resources so you can start warming up your community muscles. Thank you.